Hello there, friends. Welcome into another episode of the Subscription Web Design Podcast. Glad to be with you today. I want to talk about how to tell your story. And this is one of the things that I didn't understand for a long time. It's like I had heard it from people, but once I finally started to understand how important this concept was, it changed everything for me. And so I hope it is something that will help you a little bit and sort of move you along in your journey. Now, I wanted to tell you this podcast episode is sponsored by my Getting Started course over at steveschramm.co/SWD. As of right now, you can still use the word podcast as the code to get you 20% off of that course. In that course, I go into what we call story selling, okay? And how to actually use stories in your sales conversations to help convert customers, to help convert leads into customers. And I think that will be very helpful to you. Again, you can get 20% off steveschramm.co/SWD. Use the code podcast. So the importance of storytelling. I first I was scrolling through Facebook one day. I mean, this would have been, gosh, probably 2017, 2018, somewhere along there. And I saw an ad on Facebook for like this 13-year-old kid. Um, at least he looked that way. And the book was called Expert Secrets. That was what the ad was for. And this kid was like sitting in between two like giants in marketing, right? Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, right? Personal development, marketing, like business stuff. These are names that like most people know. You saw them in late night infomercials growing up, and then of course as they moved into online marketing and doing that, you started to see them everywhere. And I'm like, who is this kid? And I totally ignored those ads for quite a while. And I would say actually for a couple of years at different points, just because of the world I was in, the things I was studying, the things I was learning. I eventually gave up, and I was like, okay, I have to figure out who this kid is, right? It turns out he wasn't a kid; he just looks like one. But his name is Russell Brunson, and Russell Brunson is now I know a just total powerhouse of marketing and definitely one of my heroes. But at the time, I didn't really understand what he had going on, what he was doing. But he had this book called Expert Secrets. So like this kid doesn't look like an expert in anything, but the truth is, he is an expert, and what he's really an expert in is storytelling. Now, he's a marketer. He's one of the most well-known marketers today. I mean, it's like if you got this guy's number on your phone, you are somebody, right? That kind of thing. Um, but the reality is that he's just a good storyteller. That's what it all comes down to. And his entire book, really, Expert Secrets, is really all about how to tell a good story. Now, what is a good story? A good story comes down to being able, and in fact, this is the job of all marketers. And if you're listening to this as a subscription web designer, or as a web designer who wants to become a subscription web designer, I hope you realize something. You are a web designer, but you're also a marketer. Okay. You need to become obsessed with the marketing of your business in order to see your business grow. And this is a lesson that I've had to learn over the years. And I'm getting better as the days go by. But I want to pass on what I've learned to you because I feel like it's so very important. Um, with storytelling, your whole job, like as a marketer, as a storyteller, is to break and rebuild false beliefs. Okay. It is your job to notice what the chains of false belief that somebody has are, and then what experiences they've had that sort of reinforce those chains, and then the story that they've told themselves in their mind. Okay. You have to recognize that whenever you're dealing with a client, when you're dealing with a prospect, they have chains of false belief in their mind and past experiences that have led to them creating a story and a narrative in their mind. And it's your job to tell your story of success that trumps their story of defeat and failure. And if your story trumps theirs, they will buy from you. That's how storytelling works. That's how story selling works. So, what's a good example? Well, let me go out of web design for a minute. I'll get back to it, but let me go out of web design for a minute so that you can see it a little bit better because it tends to like if you can look and see how it's happening over there, it tends to be easier than when you're looking right here and you're introspecting into your own business. So let's take multi-level marketing. Okay. How many times have your friends tried to pitch you on a multi-level marketing idea? How many times have you pitched your friends on a multi-level marketing idea? Right. I think many of us have been there. And we all hate it, right? Why? Because you feel like you're bugging the snot out of people who are close to you. And so when someone is trying to convince somebody to go into their multi-level marketing program, one of the things they're going to have to encounter and deal with is this objection of the past experiences that they've had. So a person might have the change of false belief that I don't um I can't do multi-level marketing without bugging the snot out of my friends, and I don't want them to hate me. Okay, that's the change of false belief. The experience. Well, I tried multi-level marketing before. I started bugging the snot out of my friends and acquaintances, and they got onto me, and it wasn't good, and they were upset with me. Okay, and then the story. So the story they've now told themselves is, if I'm ever to be successful with something like an MLM, it's going to require me to burn up all of my friendships and all of my family relationships, and that's not good. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to do this, right? Well, if somebody were to come in and I'm just going to use Russell example. So Russell is the king of sales funnels, basically, right? That's what he is known for. And so he says, well, if I can tell a story from my own experience where, and this was a true story, in fact, where, okay, well, I had a friend who was invited me into a multi-level marketing company. And what I did was I actually won a Ferrari because the top prize in this company was to, if you were the highest affiliate or you're the top sales earner in the company, you bring in a Ferrari. So I put together a sales funnel, drove traffic to a sales funnel, sold people through that way, actually won the Ferrari. And then I sold the Ferrari for a couple $100,000. Right? So that is a story of possibility and believability that Russell was able to tell to overcome the chains of false belief for the person who says they have to burn up all their family relationships. Because the whole point of the story is that Russell used the sales funnel. He didn't burn up his family relationships or his friend relationships. Like, he didn't use them at all. He didn't tap into them at all. And so you can do that same kind of thing. So let's say, as we look at web design, what's an example of that? Well, ghosting. How many times have you talked to clients where their complaint was that they had been ghosted by another web designer? And they're skeptical to work with you maybe because the last person just jumped ship and ran. And I've even talked to people before who had their money basically taken and then the product never fulfilled on from a web designer. So they were really, really skeptical. They had changed a false belief. The change of false belief is all web designers ghost people. Okay. Then they relate back to the experience they had where they were ghosted. And then they tell a story in their mind. If I work with another web designer, I'm going to get ghosted again. And I don't want that to happen. So what we do is we come in and we actually do this. We come in and break those false beliefs and say, look, I know in the past, you've probably been ghosted. You've probably been in a situation where a person came and you did lots of work with them, and then maybe it was great and they delivered the project, but then when you needed them 2 months later, they were totally gone and they never answered their phone again. We understand that. We get that. And in fact, when you work with us, we've decided that the most important thing about our entire business is over communication. So we're not going to go anywhere. And in fact, not only we're not going to go anywhere, but our entire business model backs this up. Because we have subscription web design, you pay us every month and we respond every month. If we don't respond, you can just stop paying us. You see how that works? So now I have a story where I can break their chains of false belief and rebuild it with my own of true belief and then get them on the same page with me. So storytelling and story selling is so incredibly important when it relates to this business. Now, there are 4 core stories you need, okay? 4 core stories: the origin story, the vehicle story, the internal story, and the external story, okay? Now, this is across, like if you look at, I'm actually reading a couple fiction books right now for the purpose of learning how to be a better marketer. If you look across fiction, if you look across business storytelling books, if you look across sales copy books, if you look across psychology books, this framework that I'm getting ready to give you right here holds true across the board. I think Russell has just put it in the nicest way. So I'm actually using Russell's framework here because it's so great. Like I don't need to create a new one and just slap my own name on it here. It's perfect. So you need to know it. Origin story, vehicle story, internal and external. Okay. This is going to be capturing the 4 stories that overcome the false beliefs of anyone as it relates to doing your business. They're going to have false beliefs and questions about you because they don't know they should trust you yet. They don't know who you are. They don't know what your experience is. They don't know what you've been through. So you need an origin story that got you to where you are. Then you need a vehicle story. Okay. By vehicle, what we mean is what Russell also calls a new opportunity. And this is whatever they've tried in the past didn't work. So you have a new vehicle that you want to introduce them to. And this is where, this is actually something we probably need to talk about on the podcast separately as a marketing thing. But this is where, like for me, subscription web design is sort of a new vehicle. I talk about marketing hubs. I talk about learning hubs. These are words that I use to show customers that what we're doing is something different than what they've had before. Oh, we're not just designing a membership website. No, it's not a membership site. It's a learning hub. Well, what's a learning hub? Well, a learning hub is a membership website, basically, right? But it's not. It is, but it isn't. Okay. You see that? It is. It is a membership website, but it's not just a membership website. It's my take on a membership website that has this element, this element, this element, where it's going to work for you. It's gotten results for our other clients, and it'll get results for you as well. So that's the way we look at it and we frame it. So when you invite them into your vehicle, which is your website designs, whatever you call them, however you frame them, they're going to be skeptical not only of you as a person, but of your work and your team's work. And so you need to figure out a way to have a story to say why you design the way you do, why you build the way you do, what makes you different. Those are important. And then you've got an internal and an external. Okay, so that's the next thing. So people are skeptical of you, and they're skeptical of what you're selling them, but then they're also skeptical of their ability to actually make it work. Okay, so they might be thinking in their mind, well, gosh, what if I spend? Because everybody's thinking about themselves when it comes to status. Okay, status in marketing is a huge thing. Things can either build up their status or take away their status. Okay, and so a status lowering moment is going to happen when they have this thought: what if I spend 5, 10, however many thousands of dollars with Steve or with whoever? What if I spend that money and I'm not up to snuff? What if I spend that money and I can't sell enough to make it worth their while, or to actually make a profit on this website work that was done, right? So that's one way to think about it. There's multiple angles you could come from here, but basically there's some sort of internal thing. And to be honest, it could be niche specific as well. So for instance, I deal with a lot of people in the membership side space. And I know for them, because a lot of these guys are just online entrepreneurs, they're online creators, they have internal beliefs as to like whether or not they're actually good enough or expert enough to teach other people. And so what I want to do is, as part of the process of persuading them to actually have a website design done with me, and I'm not telling any lies here. I'm just telling them what needs to be true of them in order for them to kind of live into the reality that they're trying to create. What I'm doing is saying, look, if you are one step ahead of somebody else and you can actually pull them along, and you've researched and you've learned and you have all these experiences, you can absolutely help somebody else. If there's one, there's 100. If there's 100, there's 1,000, right? Of these people who need you and they need your message. And that's helping them overcome their internal false beliefs. And for me, I have this for myself. It's my subscription web design, this podcast and my courses. It's my own true story of how I know people are willing to trade their money for the information that I have to give. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's been amazing to watch Victor and April and just some of the other success stories of people who have been implementing these things that I've been teaching them. And it's incredible. It's like super amazing. And if I can get them to see that that same thing can happen for them, then they will be more receptive to paying the thousands of dollars for the membership side to have it done. Because if it's not done, they can't create that impact. Okay. So people always have an internal struggle. And then they also have an external struggle. Again, this is true across storytelling, across marketing. People have an external struggle. They think, oh, well, there's gatekeepers, or I can't get traffic to the website, or I can't do this, I can't do that. Whatever it is that gets in their way. And so you have to have some sort of story. And also, it might even help to have part of your offer that helps with this. So let's just say, because a big one with websites is traffic. If you don't have website traffic, you don't have sales. So they might say, well, yeah, but okay, let's say we go ahead and build this thing. I spend $5K, I spend $10K, I've got this website. But what if I can't get any traffic to it? Okay. What if nobody will actually come to my website? And what you're going to do is say, well, actually, I have this story of this person who thought the same thing, and then they did this one thing, and it turns out their traffic blew up. And in fact, as a result of working together, I'm going to give you my 5-step cheat sheet that I created, or my 5-step video course, or whatever, on how to get traffic to your website once it launched. Or maybe even just when we launch your website, I'm actually going to give you a launch kit that's going to give you social media graphics. It's going to give you some posts that you can put out to start getting traffic to your website. See, it doesn't take much. They just need a little something to push them over the edge to help them understand that their false beliefs are not true. Okay. That's all it takes. And it's a very, very powerful thing if you can overcome the origin, the vehicle, the internal, and the external false beliefs that they have, replace them with true beliefs. And if they believe those things, then boom, they have to give you money and actually complete a website project with you. So It's really an amazing opportunity to be in a place where you have this information. Where if you just learn to tell better stories, because that's what this is all about. It's not a lack of information that people have; it's a lack of belief. And this marketing, storytelling, this is how you break and rebuild false beliefs into true beliefs. And that will help you get more sales for your websites. And I think you're going to be able to convert more customers doing this. Okay. Well, that's all I have for you in this episode. I hope you found it super valuable and super helpful. Listen to it a few times. Go back, listen to it over and over again. Hopefully, it'll help you as you're converting more leads into sales. Again, you can do this in literally every sales call, and you should. Not like sequentially or whatever, but as objections come up, you'll recognize them as internal, external, or objections about the actual website, or objections about the actual about you, who you are. And you'll be able to tell stories that better illustrate who you are, why you have what you have, how they can do it too, and how the external forces are not going to be a problem. All right. You guys take care. Catch you in the next episode.